Hi everyone. I almost said happy Saturday, but it is not Saturday. It is Good Friday. I hope you guys are all having a good Friday. I'm just getting things pulled up on my end. I will have to temporarily use my phone because the iPad is not working. Hi Sandy, how are you? Hi Lena. Hopefully it'll pop up on my iPad shortly, but I will follow along here with my cell phone for a little bit until we can get the iPad working. So today is mystery stamping, and these are the elements that I am using. I posted a photo only just a few hours ago for you guys, so hopefully some of you have had a chance to get some things ready and play along, though you will have until next weekend to create your project. Before we get started, I do have a winner of the last mystery stamping challenge to announce. The last one was the gumball card that we made with this fold that we were trying to name. So this was the last one. Just try to get the comments up on my other end here. And the winner of this card, we had a few people who played along and posted their project, but the winner of this one is Lori McIntosh. So Lori has another prize here from our Waves of the Ocean retreat. So Lori, I'll add this to your blue foils paper that you won. But thank you everybody who played along. Please do play along after we get this next one created. Again, if you don't get to make it right now with me while I'm live, you have a week to go back and review the measurements and create a project and then post it afterwards. What I'll do once I'm done the project is I'll take a photo. I actually have a photo of my other one already. I'll post that on my page, and then you guys can post the project that you make on that thread. If you are not in Canada, because the prize will be a copy of the card that I've made, I can actually still mail that out of country. We just can't send product, but mailing you a card is allowed. All right, so I see that there's a few of you watching. There's some new people. Hi Carol, you're from Connecticut. And Annette, thank you all for being here. We'll put this one aside and I will review the supplies that I have here, and then we'll get started with the project. So I have, hi Terry, a card base that is 5.5 by 8.5. And then I have another color that is, so this is cardstock number 2, I think I called it. I should just grab, no, I can't grab my image because I'm having to use my phone in the meantime until the iPad will work. So I believe I called this one cardstock number 2. It was number 2 or number 3. But either way, this one is 4 1/16 by 5 and don't have my image to refer to, so I just have to measure it for you, by 5 5/16. We have another color, which is 4 by 5 1/4. This piece here is for my focal layer, so that's some white scrap. I can just set that aside. Then I have a piece of white that is 2.5 by 4. This is going to be the focal layer. I have a piece of DSP that is 2.5 by 4. I didn't get that. Oops, Siri thinks I'm talking to her. Sorry about that. And then I have 2 of, which again I think was cardstock number 3 or 2, did I say? Is 2 9/16 by 4 1/16. Let's just make sure. Yes, 2 9/16 by 4 1/16. And sorry, that was by memory because I can't access my image while I'm watching along with you guys on my phone. For some reason, technology is not working for us right now. All right, so we'll get started first with the card base. This is a fancy fold, and I'll show you guys how we're going to do this part first. Again, hi Tracy, how are you? And I think I saw somebody ask how I am. I'm good. It's a day to fit lots of different things in here. I just did another tutorial actually using this same fold for the Global Creative Project tutorial. All right, so with this one here, we're going to use this trimmer. You need to have the scoring blade and the cutting blade. So we're going to get started with this. I will take the 5.5 side and I'm going to put it into the trimmer up to the 4 1/4 mark. I'll try to follow along with the comments to see how you guys are doing. Hopefully you're able to keep up if you're stamping along with me. Actually, I'll just give you guys a second. Comment to let me know if you are making this with me today, if there's anybody who is actually stamping or if you're all going to create this later. Okay, so this is up to the 4 1/4. This blade here is my scoring blade. So this is the one I want to use first. I do not want to cut my card just yet. So I'll pop the guide down and I'm going to score this all the way at 4 1/4. So now I've created this score line at the halfway mark of my card. Watching today for future. Awesome. Hi, Leanne. How are you? And then I'll rotate this way. So now my score line is going across here, and I want to line this side up to the 2 3/4. Okay, so this end here is at the 2 3/4 mark. Oh no, so Ramona, you could use scissors as well if you needed to. It's just this first cut that we need to do. So if you could make the mark with a ruler and pencil, then that would work too. All right, okay, so now I want to get the scoring blade out of the way, and I want to use my cutting blade now. So again, this side here is at the 2 3/4, and I'm going to push down the cutting blade, and I want to cut along here up to the score line. So I want to make sure that I stop at 4 1/4. I don't want to cut past that. Okay, so now I've created this cut like this. So I've sliced it at the 2 3/4 all the way down to here. Okay, now align the score line. Okay, so you'll watch and then come back later. Sounds good. Let me know later if you have any questions. So now what I'm doing is I'm going to take the score line and I want to line that back up with the cutting track here. So this end should be here. This end will be at the 4 1/4, and my score line will line up with the cutting track. Now I'll take my blade again, and I'm going to slice all the way down to 2 3/4, right where this cut line is. So now that will allow me to pull this piece out. And now we're all done with this cutter. I clearly need to replace my blade. It was good when I made the sample, but it is now fraying a little bit, so it's time to replace that one. Made you think of Gumby. All right, so you can see here, I've cut this piece out, and I'll show you where that is going to go. We're going to use this, and we're not going to have any waste. So I need to just trim up these little hairy ends. We don't want those. It is easier to clean those up now than it is to have to do this later. Okay, so we'll get rid of those. Sorry you guys have to put up with this. Thank you everybody who tuned in yesterday and watched Ethan do his first live. That was fun. He enjoyed it. I should show you guys who weren't here the card that he made. I just took photos of them before I did my tutorial so that we are ready to post them. So I'll do that later today as well. Okay, so now that I have cleaned those edges up, I can get this piece ready. So we'll just take this flap and we're going to fold that to the front and burnish that. Okay, and then again, I'll just open this back up. Hi, Brenda. We do have a scoring board, Leanne. So we take this piece here, that piece folds, and this is going to become the front of our card. So this is going to be the mat for that focal layer that I was telling you about. So this one is called a Dutch door fold. So that's the fancy fold for this project here. Hopefully I'm not going too fast. If there is anyone here who is creating the project, just comment and let me know. So we'll put these ones aside and I'll show you guys the next step. So with this white piece here, I'm going to use this as a liner for my card, but once I get all the other elements on there, I want to give this a little bit more detail. So you guys, some of you have seen me do this before, but I'm going to show you how to do a partial embossed layer. So to do this, I'm going to use a tip that somebody else gave me the last time. I'm centering this within my the inside of the card, and then I'm going to close the flap. And I'm just going to use a bone folder and make a mark on my white layer. So instead of marking it with a pencil, I just marked it with my bone folder, and it's left that little mark there. And now that will be my guide as to where I'm going to tuck it into my folder up to. Because I only want a partial embossing, I don't want to put the whole piece in here. So I'm going to use that score line, and now I'm going to line it up with where the pattern ends on my folder. That's going to allow this to only emboss this top part, and it will keep this lower part flat so I can either stamp a greeting or write on that portion. So now I want to just make sure that that stays put. I'm going to close my folder and I'll run this through the machine. So I'll just grab the machine here. I didn't want to do this part ahead of time so that I could show you guys how it worked. All right, so now I'm going to put this on my, I almost called it a big shot, on my Stamp Cut and Emboss machine. Slide this over a little bit so that you can fully see that. And as an extra measure to make sure that I don't impress this section here. Oh, sorry, thank you for asking which folder this is. This is the Time Worn Type. Now I'm going to put my gray cutting pad only up to the end here. And I'll leave this portion, I'm going to try to back that off a bit so you can see, this portion is going to stay out of the sandwich. And then that way it won't emboss that part. And it kind of shoots out of the other side when you're done. So just make sure you don't have something on that opposite end that you don't want it to smash into. I forget that it does that until it goes flying out that opposite end. So now I have a partially embossed piece of paper, and that will become the inside of my card, and the barn door, or the Dutch door, sorry, will line up with that. And then I've still got a flat part there to write on. Okay, so we're going to put this aside. I'll show you guys some extra layers here so that you can kind of see where this is going before I get into the stamping. So I've taken this part here, you rotate it like this. I've used my next color of cardstock. It's going to go on here. I have also cut this 2.5 by 4 piece of DSP with a coordinating the same size of this color of cardstock here. I have cut to go behind the DSP. That is going to go on the front of the Dutch door. This is going to go here. Just to give you guys an idea again, in case you are stamping along with me, so you can kind of get a feel for where the card is going. So this is the basis of my card. Now I missed one layer, it's here. This one here to tie it in with these darker elements will go behind my white layer. You could also skip this color. If you wanted to keep your layers a little simpler, you could skip this layer. It's not required. I just wanted that extra color to help tie it all together, especially because I had chosen this DSP. This is from the, I think it's called Tea Boutique. I'll have to grab my package of DSP to look up the name, but it's from the new catalog. But with having chosen this piece of DSP, I really wanted to use both of these colors of cardstock. So that is where the third color came in. So we'll put this aside for now, and I will show you guys now how I'm going to do the feature layer, my focal layer. So I'm going to use, show you guys, the Wisteria Wishes bundle. So I'm going to use these two images here and a greeting. Hi David, how are you? All about the extras. I know all about the extras. Awesome. And the Wisteria dies. So I'm using those with this one here, and I'll show you guys what I did with that. So you get an extra little bit of a technique today too. So it's not just about the fold, but I've got some technique. I love this DSP, David. I don't know if you saw my catalog unboxing where I showed all of the patterns from that DSP, but I think this one's my favorite from this package. Linda, you need the measurements for the score. I will just grab my elements here and I will show you this. Okay, so what I had done, Linda, was I scored it the 4 1/4, and then I rotated it to 2 3/4, and I sliced down this side up to the score line, and you cut that off. I will also post the measurements in the description of the video afterwards for you guys. Sorry, the iPad finally started working, so you guys got me talking there on the iPad. I should have posted the measurements in the description. I always forget to do that, but I'll try to remember next time. Okay, so I'm going to use the new color Parakeet Party. I'm going to ink up this image here. It is this one right here. All right, and then what I did was I used an aqua painter, and I don't want this to be too wet, so I'm just using my hand as a guide just to make sure that there is some water in the tip, but not overly saturated. And I am just lightly going over the image. I don't want it super saturated with water. So I'm just doing a super light coating of water over top of this. You kind of get a watercolored effect with this style of image anyway, but I wanted to add a little bit to that and give it a little bit more variation in color. So I just colored over that. I just need to get rid of the color now. I just ran that off on a paper towel. Whoops. So now I'll just flip this over, and I am stamping right along the bottom of my piece of paper. And hopefully I did not just get, there we go. You can see I had a little bit of ink there. I should have wiped that off. Okay, so now I'm all done with this one. I can set that one aside. And I'll need that again, but I'll just put this aside. That's gonna go here for now. I have another piece of, oh no, did you have water pens? I love these. I use them a lot. Hopefully you will, if you decide to buy them again, you'll have lots of uses for them. Okay, so now I'm going to use polished pink. I think this one kind of ties in okay with this. I tried Sweet Sorbet, and it was a little bit too red for what I wanted to do. And I did get inspiration from the actual new catalog for the image that I'm doing here. It's a little bit different, but that was what inspired me. So I'm just grabbing a scrap sheet because this next one I need to stamp off first. All right, now I want to ink this one up with polished pink. This again is another image from the Wisteria Wishes. And I am going to stamp this off first, and then I am going to stamp just a little bit around the top, or ink up just a little bit at the top. So this is going to give me a multi-toned image. I want to move this out of the way for just a second. And then I'm going to bring in my aqua painter again. So again, I want some fluid in there. I just don't want it super dark. So first, or super wet, I mean, I'm going to paint over the tips because they're lighter. I don't want to get too much of the dark portion here. And then now I can go over the dark portion. And this is going to help blend out that line between the two sections of color. I also had done this one first with too much fluid in the aqua painter, and it just blurred the image. So it had no detail. So now I'm just running the color out of there on a paper towel. Okay, now I'll flip this over and stamp this on my white cardstock. And hopefully, there we go. I should have blurred that out a little bit more, the line in between the two, but you know what? We're gonna do that one more time. We may as well. I'm gonna grab a new piece of white. It's a little bit bolder than what I wanted it to be. So while I've got it, before I ink it all up or die cut it, I may as well. Don't mind me. We'll do this one more time. Okay, whoops. And then just don't drop it. So I'll ink that up one more time because part of that came off on my hand. Okay, so get rid of a little bit of that color and just tap over that now. And now I just need to go over that one more time with my water painter. Sorry about the error. These things happen when live, right? And there's only one way to deal with it. So now I'll just go over this light part one more time. And then I'm going to blend out that line a little bit better. Hopefully it's a little bit better. Okay. I love how it gives a little bit of a watercolored look. Even my, there we go. See, that one's got, the line is not so harsh by blending that out a little bit more. Thank you, Terry. What if you stamped off first, then remove some ink to make it lighter, making the stamped off be the dark? I'll have to reread that, David, and try to process what you're suggesting. But I'm excited to try it because if any of you guys know David, you know that he is super efficient and very creative. Whenever one of us comes up with a way to make things efficient or creative, we say that that person pulled a David. So I will definitely have to process what you're telling me there. And thank you, Terry, too. Absolutely. We all make mistakes. And sometimes that's where the creativity happens too, right? So now I need to just die cut these ones. This element here I stamped straight on this layer, and this one here I'm going to pop up with my dimensionals. So I want to die cut this one. I could have stamped it straight on there as well, but I wanted to pop this one. So I'm just going to disappear for a second and quickly die cut this. I am not brave enough to not tape my pieces down. How about you guys? Tell me what you guys do. I would love to know. And there we go. I thought I lost my cutting plates for a second. Again, this is something I probably could have done in advance so that you guys didn't have to. I could have done an extra one, and then you guys wouldn't have had to wait for me. All right, there we go. I find it is a lot less daunting to just tape them. I know some people can line up a whole bunch on their die cutting machine and just go for it. I am so afraid to do that. All right, so you guys will have a good idea now of where this is going. So this is going to get dimensional on top there, and then all of this will get layered. So first of all, though, I keep wanting to grab my actual card and show it to you guys, but it's mystery stamping, so I have to remind myself that I can't show you just yet. First, I need to bring back in my scrap, and this will be no surprise to any of you who have followed along with me, but what I'm going to do next is add just a little bit of spatter to the background here with the Coordinating Orchid Oasis blends. This is the dark one, and I'm just going really gentle. I don't want a lot of spatter, but I just wanted to slightly fill in some of that white space. Okay, so I've got that there. Yeah, hopefully over spring break you will, or summer break, sorry, you'll have some time to do some stamping. On the 23rd of April, is that when your summer break starts? Okay, so we've got that. And I have one more element that I need to stamp. That is the greeting. I'm sorry you hear the dog barking. The boys are outside shoveling snow. We did not get as much snow here in Winnipeg as other areas of the province got, but they are definitely busy out there with shoveling snow. Okay, so I chose the Happiness Grows Within from the Wisteria Wishes, I want to say. Yeah, Wisteria Wishes. And I'm going to give that a second to dry. And I'm actually going to fussy cut this. So some of you are probably wondering, what does she mean? A greeting to fussy cut or a label to put it on? I am going to fussy cut these words here. Because of this here, at first I thought I would stamp the greeting right in here, but that green is pretty bold. and there's not a lot of room left over. I also didn't want to take over too much of this with a die cut, so I decided that I would fussy cut. So I'm going to fussy cut this, and I apologize, this is another one of those, I should have done this in advance and then you wouldn't have to watch me. So I just snipped with my paper snips right along the bottom and the top of the Grows Within. Some of you, if you guys were here yesterday, you saw Ethan do this. I thought he did a good job. Just taking charge with his greeting and like fussy cutting the greeting and doing all of those steps on his very first live. So I've got Grows Within ready to go. He was very confident, I thought, with his live. If you guys tuned in yesterday, let me know what you think of how he did with his live. Brenda, did you get to watch it yesterday? Let me know. So now I'm going to fussy cut this happiness. So bear with me here. This will take me a minute or two or a little bit longer. And if you guys play along, I will, and come back and share a picture of your project. I will end up posting a photo of today's project on my page. And then if you want to come back and post a photo of your own, I will enter you in a draw for a chance to win the card that I'm making today. Oh, awesome. I thought he did so well. He wanted to go live. Oh, I can't remember when it was. He had done something else with me last year and people were saying he should go live. And so he's had it in his mind ever since then that he wanted to do it. And when school got canceled for a couple of days because of the expected snowstorm, that was what he wanted to do. So I thought he did a good job. I was proud of him, but I might be biased. There we go. So now happiness is also ready. It would be nice if we had little dies for these, but there's no way we could have dies for all of the greetings, right? Okay, so those are ready. I'll put those aside. And now I will start assembling the card. So first of all, you guys probably know again what I'm going to do here. I'm going to distress the edges. So when I do this, I like to hold my paper like this with my hands, some fingers on one side and some on the other, just to keep the paper stable so that it doesn't tear or bend too much, especially when it's the focal layer. Okay, so that's all I'm going to distress. I'm not going to do that with any of the other layers. And before I start assembling anything, I will do a quick dry fit of all of the layers. So I'm just making sure that those layers all fit nicely. These two layers fit nicely. And then I know these ones will fit nicely. You still like to sponge the edges, Brenda? I often will do that too, or I will just tap the edges in a color. And then these ones fit nicely. So I've done that quick little dry fit and now I can work on assembly. So I'm going to glue the focal layer to my, I wish I could pull up that photo. I probably could pull it up now just to see whether I labeled this color number 1 or color number 2. Okay, so that is glued on there. Now we'll glue that one to this panel here that was the top of the card front. I love this fold. I have not ever done this one before. We did a Z fold that was similar in concept, but I really like how this one turns out. Okay, so now I've adhered those 3 layers together. And now I want to dimensional the blooms on top. So for this, I just used the, whoops, missed my glue holder. I'm using the mini dimensionals here. How many of you will get a chance to stamp this weekend, whether it's this or whether it's something else? Will you guys have any stamping time? I know some people in Manitoba have had a little bit more creative time because of the snow. So that's dimensional there. where my mother-in-law is, they actually did get the 85 centimeters. So they're out in Onanol, and there is so much snow there. I have a friend who owns a cabin there, and she has been posting pictures as well. It is crazy. My mother-in-law's husband posted photos of their dig out yesterday, and I should share a picture of what their vehicles look like. So I'm just applying Stamp and Seal to the back of my DSP. Sometimes you gotta roll a little bit more till it catches. That corner missed, so come back to that one. All right. And so now this one will just get centered on here. I won't complain that we did not get as much here in Winnipeg than anticipated. That's okay by me. I kind of wish we were closer to them, that we could go help or send the boys to help. Now I want to adhere. I put the DSP to the, this piece here is 4 1/8 by 4 1/16 by 2 9/16. Now I will glue that one down to the front of the Dutch door. Yeah, me too, David. The back of that one is not really my favorite, but I love this one. I think that's what you mean, right? When, oh, you're crafting with me now. Awesome, Ramona. I totally agree, David. I love it when, I'm going to bring a piece of that back in. I really love it when I love one side of the DSP and I'm not so fond of the other, for the exact same reason David is saying, because then you don't feel as bad using the side. Like, this is my absolute favorite. I just love it. But, I mean, these are okay, but this is definitely the side that I like. All right, so now we'll take these two pieces and we'll attach these to each other. I am going to use tear and tape to attach the white. I just like using the tear and tape when I have applied texture to a piece of paper. It's probably me just being silly. You would probably be fine with glue or the tape runner, the seal, but I'll just stick to what my comfort is and go with my tear and tape. All right, now just make sure that's centered. And even though I did make this last night, this is why you guys only got the measurements today. It was very late. I can't get this ink off just yet. It'll come off eventually. Now we're going to adhere this to the inside of the card. By the hour that I finished it, it was not good lighting to take a photo of the supplies for you guys. So my apologies that had to wait until today. We'll try to get the next one up with more notice for you. But again, you'll have the week to, hi Catherine, to play along and use the measurements and the video to do your project. All right, so this is the base of the Dutch door fold. So the inside here, we've got the portion there to write on. You could even add an extra piece of white on the inside here if you wanted to, or maybe even a little gift card pocket or something like that. But we'll close that up. And then we have this element here. So if you're just hopping in, we cut off this portion here of the front. We cut that off. Then you close the Dutch door, and then this becomes our focal layer here. So I'm gonna, oh, you know what I went and did? I have forgotten this every single time. I told you guys that you could have a piece of ribbon, and I went and forgot it again. So I need to show you guys a little trick on how to undo something that you have already glued. There's a set of new framelits that make me think of you called Deckled Rectangles. Ooh, I'm gonna have to look into those ones, Brenda. I'll have to go watch yours, Catherine. Okay, so here I am undoing something because I forgot a step. So you guys shouldn't have to do this part unless you have kept caught up with me. I can't wait to see what you make, David. So I'm just heating up this right corner because I need to undo the little corner and add a little flag of ribbon. You could also leave off the ribbon if you've already attached your layers and you don't want to do this part. then just skip the ribbon. So I just heated that up so that the glue would release and allow me to separate those layers enough that I can add a little piece of ribbon in here. So I am going to, I just need a little piece of tape. My apologies that I forgot this. You would think that I would remember because I told you guys that I just filmed a tutorial with a different version and I had to do this on that one too. You would think that my mistake would have taught me, but not well enough apparently. So no getting after my kids when they don't learn from their mistakes, right? Because we're all human. I do it too. Okay, so I've got a little piece of ribbon. I am going to just fold it. It's going to get cut shorter, but for now, I've got a little fold there. I have put this little piece of tape in here. Ideally, you would do this before you put these layers together. But again, because I forgot, this is a little bit of an afterthought. And it's a little bit trickier to get it lined up when my layers are together. So now I have that taped with a little flag, just like that. I want to place another piece of tape on the back of it though, just to help hold that down. And this is why I say it's optional. You can totally skip this part if you have already put your layers together and you don't want to go to the trouble of putting that back together. But now also, because I have lifted this corner off, I want to make sure that it is stuck down really well. So I'm going to put a piece of tape back here now instead of just the glue so that I can hold this down. So hopefully you guys are learning something from my mistakes today. I'll refer back to Terry's comment where she said, it's okay to make mistakes. It shows that we're all human. All right, so now that's attached there. I've got that little flag of ribbon, and now I can come in here and just cut the flagged ends, okay? All right. There, okay. So now we've got the little flagged ends. Now I want to dimensional this down to my project. So what I'll do here is I am making sure that this is facing the right way. Then you want to flip it over. We're going to center it top to bottom and side to side. And when we place the dimensionals on here, we just need to make sure that they are not above this section here. If they're higher than that, then we're going to tape our card shut and we don't want that. So I am just placing them in the four corners here and one in the middle. Backings are staticky. Okay, so I've got those dimensionals in place, and now we can just flip this over and center that on the card front. There we go. Okay, there we are. So it's just that little detail. It's fairly subtle. So if you skip that part, it's no big deal. Okay, now I want to dimensional this greeting onto my project. So I'm going to just get these in place. Thanks, Linda and Catherine. And we're going to dimensional the happiness grows within. And to do this, you guys have seen me do this before. I like to just snip a little bit of the borders of my dimensional sheets because this way I can cut a long, narrow piece for this skinny little greeting. I love this Dutch door fold. I think it's so fun. And if you've got any of these, any focal element that's kind of tall and narrow, you can make it work with this. So I'm dimensionaling the little grows within. It is slightly overlapping these colors here on the right. And then I'll just cut another skinny piece of the edge of my dimensional sheet to put behind the happiness. I don't need this long of a piece. I need to cut that one a little bit shorter. And now I'll just put a piece behind happiness. So we've got that. And then now I can tuck this. I'm going to show you here. I'm offsetting it a bit to the left. So now the Grows Within kind of tucks underneath the P and the S over here. All right, so now my reason for this again was because I didn't want to take over this image here. I wanted the technique in the image to be the focal point, and I didn't want to disguise it too much with a big greeting. So that's why I decided to fussy cut that. And you can see here where the greeting is stacked on top of the two lines of the greeting are stacked on top of each other. So I wanted to be able to separate it a little bit and make it longer and narrower. So that was the reason for that. And I just have one more little embellishment to add. So I am using the new In Color dots. I'll use these guys here. And I went with all small ones. I love these. How about you guys? Enamel dots and little bling are probably one of my favorite things to use. And you actually get, I think I showed you guys this yesterday, you get varying shades of the color. So I used the Starry Sky ones, but you could use a mix of Starry Sky and the Orchid Oasis. Even if you didn't have both of those colors tied into your project already, they go so well with each other with these varying shades that if you're running short on one, don't be afraid to use the other. The other colors don't lend quite as well to being able to do that, but this one does. Or these two do. So I will grab some of these other colors here. So I just tucked, oh, that one's gonna go a little bit closer, I think. There we go. There. I put my greetings in a slightly different spot than my original, but that's okay. Your pre-order is stuck in Winnipeg. Oh no, did you expedite it? Because usually the expedited do come through Winnipeg first, and I bet you that storm messed with it. I didn't order, did I order this week? I can't remember. But hopefully it won't hold things up even more next week too, and I hope you get your order soon. So that is my mystery stamping Dutch door fold card. So there we are. What do you guys think? Did any of you get to complete yours? If you didn't, please do play along after. I'll bring in my original. So this is the original here. Oh, I forgot a step. Now that I brought in my original, I can still add it though. You guys, how could I forget this? This was the whole second half of my technique. I will maybe just do it over the flowers and not the stem so that you guys can still see it. But when I went to hold this up, I remembered that there was a whole extra step. I added Wink of Stella over the blooms and over the stems. So for this one, usually I would do this before I die cut it, but I'm going to do it on the completed card just so that you guys can see the difference. So you see there the Wink of Stella on the blooms. I don't know if you guys can tell. And I will just quickly paint over. So with your Wink of Stella, it is super quick and easy to just do a little bit of a coating over top of your stamped image. It is a quick, easy way to add a little bit of detail and glitter, and even a brand new stamper could do this. It doesn't take much time or effort, and it's not daunting. I don't find it is anyway. I find it's a nice, easy technique to do. So I'll just keep this one, I think, to the blooms as opposed to the stems. There we go. Can't believe I forgot to show you guys that part. So there we go. Now I've got some shimmer on those blooms. And I could probably even tuck it in there on the stems if I wish to. I think it's pretty hard to see the shimmer on the screen, isn't it? I don't think it's showing up for you guys. Wink of Stella is addicting. I haven't tried tinting it yet, but that is something that I want to do. I believe I've seen people tint it. I don't think I'm just dreaming that up, but I think I have seen people add re-inker into theirs. And then they've got colored Wink of Stella. Sorry, I'm just cleaning up my adhesive backings that I threw off to the side while I was busy trying to get these things put together here. All right, so that's today's mystery stamping project. I've taken a photo of it already, so I will finish getting that ready to post on the page for you guys. And then that way, once you have made your project, you can come back to that post. You can also post it on this video, though this video is not where it will count for the entry. If you want it to count for the entry, I need you to take a photo and post it on the actual photo of this project here that I'll post on my page. Yeah, you can totally use it like a water painter. David, you don't have Wink of Stella? Are you for real? Let me know if you mean that. I might even have an extra one if you need one put into your order. So you can just put a dot on a block. That's true. So put your re-inker on a block and then dip the tip of the Wink of Stella. Is that what you mean, Tracy? And then that way you're not committed to a whole Wink of Stella, being committed to one color, if that makes sense. All right, I'm positive I have one, David, so I'll double check and let you know. Wink of Stella, it's something that I forget to use a lot of the time, but when I do, I always love it so much. So don't be afraid to use that. I wish we still had the shimmer paint, I think it was called, the frost white shimmer paint. I was addicted to that stuff. I hope that they bring something like that back, but I think it already had retired once and then they brought it back again. So I don't know that that'll come back again, but I would not be sad if it did. Okay, so watch for the photo and then you guys can post a photo of your project on that one. That will get you counted in the draw. Lori, I don't think you're here today, but I have your name down for the gumball shaker card. If you guys missed this one, you can still go back and catch that mystery stamping, and the photos of it are on my page. This was just kind of a fold. If you have a suggestion for the name of the fold, don't be afraid to let us know what we should call this one. I had to go back and read too what you guys suggested. But Lori, this one's for you. I'll add it into your blue foils paper. I'll show you guys real quick if you missed yesterday's project. This was Ethan's first live where he did this gatefold card with the new Brew For You stamp set, and he did this technique where he made them glossy to look like a real glass cup. Thought he did a fabulous job. And then I used his sketch to do this interlocking gatefold card with this new stamp set. Oh my gosh, Wild and Sweet, I think it's called. So that one is there. And we did update yesterday's post with the measurements and the supply list with these two projects for you guys as well. So visit that one if you want to learn how we did those ones together. It was a fun combined stamping session. So I will also update to let you guys know when I will go live again, but you'll have until next weekend to get this one done. I'll post the official time and date for you guys so that you can get your entry in for the draws. I hope you guys all have a wonderful Easter. I might get back before then, but just in case not, wanted to say happy Easter. Thank you so much for being here and joining me for mystery stamping. And I will see you guys all again soon. Goodbye.